Welcome back, everybody, to G-Bear's Homesteading the Desert. Here we are on June 15th. It's a Friday, and it's TGIF. That means there's only 2 more days to this work week. Oh, no, wait a minute. 1 more day to this work week. Sunday is the first day of next week, but that's still a work day. Oh, well. Anyway, those clouds you're looking at back there, those are remnants of a hurricane that came through Baja, and they were really bad this morning. Well, not this morning, late morning, almost into the noontime. It started, and probably by 1 p.m., 14 dust devils were cutting across the desert at different locations. But I put a sign down at the end of the road that said, "Dust devils turn left," and they decided to do the opposite, so they turned right and they went off that direction. And that was a good thing, because they were pretty nasty. A little after lunch, I was sitting in the cabin, and I was relaxing and just letting the food digest. And all of a sudden I heard what sounded like a jet engine coming towards me. And sure enough, here was this gigantic dust devil again coming right at me from that direction. And it came right across the cabin from that direction to this direction. This piece of plywood, it's a half a sheet of plywood, was down there by that light post. And all the wood that was holding it down was blown off. The wire roll that was on top of it was blown off. My ladder got blown down. The empty blue water barrel over there was over there by the chicken coop. One of those boxes that the hens came in, that was over there anchored by the fireplace in the wood rack, is somewhere out there across the desert. I'm going to take the ATV tomorrow morning and go dig it out. But I've been pretty much hunkering down all afternoon because it was just nasty out here with the wind blowing. That unsettled weather mass, and you can see with the shape of the clouds, there's a lot of upper atmospheric winds going on up there. And some of them touched down. And at one point, when I was working inside the garden house today, I counted 7 dust devils all at the same time. There was one over there, there was one over there, there was one over there, there was 2 of them over there, there was a fairly good sized one over there, there was another one over there, and another one over there. I'm telling you, they were like all around me. Just amazing. That unsettled weather from that hurricane sure did some damage out here. Right now, you can see the smog hanging over the mountains down there. And they can have it. This fresh air out here is nice. I breathe nice and clear. Anyway, we're coming over here to the garden house because, like I said, I was working out here today. And I got 4 water barrels up here on top of my little pedestal. And these are all full. So that's all set up. That one in the back corner there is hooked up to this garden hose, so I can take the garden hose inside. And I didn't have a shut off for the end of it, so I just put that Y on there for now, so I could use just one side of it to shut off. But I can walk around in there and water the plants as needed. Now this barrel right here doesn't have a hose connection on it. It has a little spout down there. And I'm going to put a little plastic hose on here so I can set the watering cans down. And that's so I can just fill up a watering can to do direct watering where I need it. This one has its little valve in it already right there. And it has a screw type connection in it. Not for any security purposes, but just because that's what I had. All right. This one doesn't have any connections in it. This is just a backup water barrel. When all three of those are empty and I've got to go get water, this one will make sure that everything stays watered, because I'll just use my transfer pump to pump it out of here into whichever barrel I need to feed, so I make sure the watering probably into this barrel, which will end up feeding the self-watering gutter garden. So that's what I designed on this. You can also see that I've got the shade cloth up there, and I still have the board connected to it and the rope connected to it, because I've got to reach up there and get some wire tied into the eyelets and string it over. But I was thinking, if I decide I want to cover up the rest of this, I can get a second tarp, a smaller one, and cover up the rest of this. This seemed to do its job. As you can see, the plants all look very happy over there now. Real green and happy, because 70% of the sunlight was blocked out today on the hottest part of the day, when the sun came right over the top of this shade cloth. Everything in here stayed in the shade except early morning and late afternoon when it's cool. Like right now, the sun is setting over there, but there's still sunlight coming in here, and those plants are still using it. They're loving it. Now I noticed that the way I've got it set up is that my gutter garden here is going to be in the sunlight most of the day. So I will plant plants in there that like lots of sunlight. So once the winter comes, then most of this is all going to be in the shade, because the sun comes up over there now and sets down over there. In the summertime, in the wintertime, the sun comes up over there and sets down over there. So there's a difference. Out here, it looks like probably a few miles from where I'm looking. But who knows what the exact measurements are. And all I'm saying is that's the way the things work today. Right now, I got my panels on a flat. The sun doesn't actually go directly overhead where I'm at, because I'm not in Ecuador. But what happens is that the sun at this point, the way it travels from east to west, is the panels in that position get the most sunlight out of it. Down the line, I may move those out and put the pads out further, and then just adjust them a little bit more. But it's kind of hard to get anything better than what I've got. My batteries stay full charged. I just came out of there. I've been running the TV, the ceiling fan, fans in the container, a little of everything going on. And I've had my crock pot running all day, because I made a black crushed pepper beef vegetable stew tonight. And boy, there's just one helping left over, and I made a 3 helping pot. So it was just that good. Anyway, I wanted to let you all in on what was going on out here. The girls are still out. They were up at 5 o'clock this morning. They're really getting used to this place. And when I go over there, and if I go over by the door, they'll all come right over to the door. And the ones that are inside will hear the ones that are outside, and they'll come down and meet me at the door. So I'm going to go over here and show you what I'm talking about. You see my tracks here because I refilled the water barrel on the chicken coop today. And see, look at this. They come right to the door. As soon as I come over here, they say, hey, that's the guy with the food. Look at that. They all want to know that they're going to be the first to get the food. All right, girls. You've already had your treats. You've already had everything that you need for the day. You got plenty of food. You got plenty of water. So get in there and do what you're supposed to do. There's one inside there pecking away at the food inside. Just feeding off. I did pull a couple more eggs out of here today. 3 eggs to be exact. And I've got an 18 pack of eggs loaded up. I'll be bringing some down to some friends on this trip.